We will all experience grief at some point in our lives. When someone we feel especially close to dies, feeling the pain of that loss is unavoidable. The grief that follows is very real and can be very difficult to deal with. It's tempting to deny grieving in an attempt to avoid the pain. However, it's ultimately much healthier to accept those feelings of pain and loss and to work through the grieving process. Let me share with you 5 ways that a person might be able to work through their grief and eventually reach the final stage of grief, acceptance and reconciliation. First, accept the fact that your loss is real. Oftentimes, the first reaction to a loss is to deny that the loss has actually occurred. Denial can be found in many forms. Some people will attempt to downplay their loss, acting as if it's not so important, while others will attempt to convince themselves that the person really isn't gone, but is actually still living. People sometimes find it easier to intellectually understand death, thinking the person is physically gone, than to have an emotional understanding of death, realizing the person is not coming back. Therefore, it is extremely important to be able to realize and accept that the death of a loved one means they are really gone. Next, give yourself permission to hurt. Denying the pain of grief will cause your physical and emotional health to worsen, not get better. Denying the emotional pain of grieving can lead to physical pains and can also prolong the entire grieving process. People will try a number of things to avoid grieving. Staying busy and not allowing them the time to think about the person who is gone serves as a temporary fix for some people. Others will use drugs or alcohol to ease their pain. While feeling the pain of grief is difficult, it is absolutely necessary to move through the grief in the most effective manner. Third, learn to live your life without the person who has died. When someone dies, we lose the part of our lifestyle of which that person was a part. So while you grieve the loss of that person, you will also be grieving for the part of your life that will forever be changed because that person is no longer a part of that aspect of your life. It can sometimes take as long as a few months for this realization to sink in. Since we grieve not only the person, but also the activities related to that person, it's natural for our life to feel empty, as if we've lost our purpose. It's normal to feel this way for periods of time, but accepting this change will also open doors for us to accept other people and new activities into our lives. Next, allow yourself to move on, but hold a special place in your heart for the person who has died. This one's tough because you will feel at first as if you're being disloyal to the one who's died because you're allowing yourself to feel better about your life moving ahead without them. Their memory will live on inside of you forever, and on occasion you will still feel sadness when you think of that person. When this sadness happens, reassure yourself it's still normal, even if it's years later, and that it's a part of the process of grieving. It's okay to cherish a memory, but not okay to let it control you. And last, don't stop loving the person who died. Remind yourself often that you do not stop loving someone just because they're no longer around. Best of all, remind yourself of how much that person loved you. Knowing that you are still loved by that person will bring you comfort and will give you added strength to continue to push forward in your ultimate acceptance and reconciliation that the death has occurred. There are a number of excellent resources for people who are grieving the loss of a loved one. You can research this subject yourself, or if you desire, you are very welcome to call us for a referral. Please feel free to contact us if we can be helpful during this time of grief.